we wanted to announce today that we are super excited to continue the work that we've been doing together, but
Oh, that's pretty cool.
doing it as a married couple.
What?
WNBA star turned
What?
activist Maya Moore revealed that she has married Jonathan Irons, the wrongfully convicted man she helped free from prison after serving 23 years behind bars.
We got married.
What? This is crazy as hell. So I'll give you a little background. Maya Moore, WNBA player. Jonathan Irons. I said Jeremy. I think Jeremy Irons is actually a football player from Auburn. But Jonathan Irons was arrested and tried and sentenced at 16 years old. He was tried as an adult in the armed robbery and shooting of a man. He served 23 years in prison and then was freed after a wrongful conviction, including a fingerprint sample, a negative fingerprint sample that was denied by his defendants or by his team in his case, which would have overthrown his conviction. So the actual wrongful conviction, we're not going to get into too much, but this is crazy. This is a crazy story. Maya Moore was 18 years old when she first met or first heard about Jonathan Irons. I believe he's like 40 years old. And she's, what, 20? I mean, I'm guessing mid-20s, somewhere around there. I mean, she got out of college a while ago. So she's got to be like in her mid-upper 20s, somewhere in there, I would guess. And, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's younger than me. Now, think about if you're Jonathan Irons. It's one thing to be like imagine you're in prison, okay? And you got convicted at 16 for this crime. And you tell somebody, I'm going to marry a WNBA player. It's like, yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, you're in prison. Like, that's kind of a tough ask. First, you got to get out. And then it's like, and I'm going to get out of prison on a wrongful conviction thing. It's like, that's also really hard to do. Not a lot of that happens. It's very difficult for that to take place. And then it's like, in that WNBA star that I'm going to marry, she's going to get me out of prison. It's like, man, whoa, this is too much. Like, you talk about shooting for the moon and landing amongst the stars. I mean, this is a movie type situation.
Married a couple months ago, and we're excited to just continue this new chapter of life together.
The couple appeared on Good Morning America Wednesday.
Don't ever forget that I've interviewed Robin Roberts twice in my journalistic career
To talk about their love story. The 31-year-old basketball pro
So she's 31, a little older than I thought.
said they met through a prison ministry program when she was 18 years old.
A prison ministry program when she's 18. That's crazy enough. It's crazy. Like, take away she's a WNBA player. Just the idea of meeting somebody through a prison ministry program. One person's in prison for assault and armed robbery. The other person is not. And they meet in a prison ministry system. And then they somehow fall in love and get married, 20 years later. Or I guess for like 13 years later. Wild.
Over the last 13 years, we have just developed a friendship and just entered into this huge battle to get him home. And just over time, it was pretty clear what the Lord was doing in our hearts. And now we're sitting here today, starting a whole new chapter together.
Irons, who's now 40, recalled professing his love to her while he was still at Jefferson City Correctional Center in Missouri.
I wanted to marry her, but at the same time protect her, because being in a relationship with a man in prison is extremely difficult and painful. And I didn't want her to feel trapped. And I wanted her to feel open and have the ability to anytime.
It's such a crazy story. Like, there's really no other commentary that I can provide. Then it's so wild. Every single aspect of it, just his case getting thrown out, just his conviction being overturned is crazy enough. Like, just the idea that, man, he got his conviction overturned. That's crazy. It's so good to see, justice be found. Obviously 23 years. I mean, then you can get into like, man, what's it like for him to have 23 years just thrown away, for no reason, if he is innocent, like they're saying, and if the original sentence was incorrect, like that's a huge black eye on the justice system. And then the idea that a WNBA star in her prime, obviously not right now at 31, but like during her prime, was working this hard and this diligently to free him. Then you throw in the idea that they're romantically linked through the prison ministry system. And then 13 years later, they work this hard, continue their relationship, get him out, immediately get married. I mean, there are so many wrinkles to this story that are all as unbelievable as the next.
If this is too much for you, go and find somebody, live your life, because this is hard.
After his release from prison in July, Irons didn't wait long to pop the question for real.
When I got out, we were in the hotel room. We had some friends in the other room. It was winding down, and we were extremely tired, but we were still gassed up on excitement. And it was just me and her in the room, and I got down on my knees, and I looked up at her, and she kind of knew what was going on. I said, will you marry me? She said, yes. Here we are today.
Irons was tried and convicted as an adult when he was 16 years old by an all-white jury for the burglary and shooting at the home of 38-year-old Stanley Stotler. Irons maintained his innocence while he was in prison, saying he was wrongly identified during the lineup. After years of fighting, a Missouri judge overturned his conviction in March, saying there were problems with the way the case was investigated and tried, including a fingerprint report that would have proved his innocence not being turned over to his defense team. Now Moore and Irons are focused on spreading the word about local elections.
We're basically trying to just educate the public and, and get them engaged in the voting process, and just being more involved in what's going on with our country and our government and local.
It's absolutely terrifying to think that an innocent man can get locked up for 23 years. Like, think about that. Think about if you got picked up and you got put in a lineup and they're like, "Yep, that's who did it," and you're like, "Whoa, hold up, I didn't do it." Especially at 16. Like, imagine what were you doing at 16? And you're sitting there and you're getting tried for this. You're like, "I just didn't do it," and the whole system that you believed in your entire life is just shitting on you. And the system that's supposed to protect you is the system that's just wrong. I mean, what do you do then? I mean, that's like everyone's fear. Everyone's fear is being, even when you're like a little kid, like even if it's not, the police, if your parents are mad at you for something you didn't do, that's a really bad feeling. And you can feel totally helpless. It's an awful, awful feeling. And to think that this is that 50 million times over, where he's feeling like the system is just completely letting him down to the tune of 23 years of his life. That is an absolute nightmare, hellacious thing to think about.
Jurisdictions, prosecuting offices.
Irons also explained that they hope to help others who have been wrongfully convicted.
That's hopefully something I can continue to do, and whatever else that Win with Justice can contribute to the fight, because it's a big fight, and the more hands involved makes the work easier.
Man, I mean, what a story! What a wild roller coaster ride of a story. I mean, there's the age gap, how they met, his story, her story. There's a lot of roads leading to one conclusion. It's a lot happening to lead to him getting released and them getting married. Nuts, man. Absolutely crazy.